Well, happy Monday evening to everybody tonight. Welcome to the big show. I am Brenden Martin, and I am got the reign of the studio tonight. Buddy is on assignment. He will not be joining us, unfortunately. He's a little bit under the weather, but he will be joining us hopefully tomorrow night. I have got two all-star guests waiting in the orange and blue room, which I'm sure I'm going to have to eat a little bit of crow, which I'm happy to do, by the way. Happy to do it. Okay. But yes, I did pick Tennessee to win. I'm just going to own that right off the top. And, you all can just, beat me up over it. It's fine. Got no issues with that. Franz Beard is going to join us. Shane Mathews is going to join us tonight. We're going to take your questions in the chat. We're going to talk about the big win Saturday night. Obviously, I got a new microphone. Does that tell me how it sounds? If it doesn't sound very good, let me know. Hey, smash the subscribe button down there on the right-hand side. That really helps us out. Let's see. What else? I don't know what else. So we're just going to roll the open. Welcome to the big show.
It's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Welcome to the show. I'm not Buddy Martin, but I play one on TV. Up into my upper right is the one and only Shane Mathews, and down to my lower right, having a little bit of pizza. Don't mind us, Franz. I know you're ready to give me a whole bunch of you-know-what, ready to eat some crow, is the one and only, the Iron Duke, Franz Beard. Guys, how are you tonight?
Doing well.
Lovely day in the neighborhood.
Yes, it is a lovely day in the neighborhood. Hey, do I sound okay? I've got a brand new microphone. I just wanted to know if everyone says a problem, if I'm too loud, let me know tonight. So I probably a signature win for Billy Napier on Saturday night. Would we all agree?
Obviously, the best win of his 16 games as a Florida head coach.
Yep. Shane?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, obviously beating Utah last year was a big win in his first game as a Gator. But this was an important win, in my opinion, for the football program. We know how well he's doing on the recruiting trail. There were a ton of big-time recruits there Saturday night. Tremendous environment. Shout out to the fans. So, yeah, it's by far his biggest win, and hopefully the team can build on this and have the year that I thought they could have.
Now, do you are you still? What did you say? Ultimately, they're going to have 7-8 wins. You thought?
I said a minimum of 8 was what I said, and I even said possibly 9. When I looked at the schedule, I didn't think it was that difficult. Maybe I was being naive, but I thought there were 2 teams on the entire roster that were better than them on paper, and that would be LSU and Georgia. And, LSU looked pretty good the other day. Georgia's kind of sputtering around, so anything can happen. If this team keeps getting better week by week, who knows what might happen.
Yeah, well, certainly with this upcoming game should be somewhat of a softball, I would assume. With it, I don't even know what their mascot. Charlotte, what?
49ers.
The 49ers, and they're named that way because the university is on Highway 49 leading into Charlotte.
That I didn't know.
Wow.
That is exactly why. It's a school that's best known for this 1976 run that got them to the Final Four. and they had Cornbread Maxwell, who ended up playing for the Boston Celtics, a 6'8" skinny guy from Kinston, North Carolina. That I've known him since he was a high school sophomore, and they got to the Final Four. And Mary Wise's husband, Mark Wise, was one of the assistant coaches on that Charlotte team. But that's their greatest athletic accomplishment in school history.
Huh.
Oh, there you go. See, Franz Beard knows everything about everything.
Yeah, well, let me ask Franz this. When did they change their name from UNC Charlotte to just Charlotte?
A lot of schools are doing that because they just don't like having the at certain thing. Yeah, people tend to mistake them for somebody else. So they're just the University of Charlotte now.
Is that what's behind the Eastern Cowboys that we saw at McNeese State? That the wanting to be their own identity?
Yeah, McNeese wants to be known as McNeese University. They want the state dropped off of it, And a lot of schools are doing that simply because they want their own identity. They don't want to be confused for the big school, you can say University of North Carolina at Asheville, and everybody will say, Asheville, I thought you guys were in Chapel Hill. Yeah, and that kind of thing. And it's just an identity thing.
Well, there you go. We talked entirely too long about something that didn't really matter. And I appreciate, Franz, you knowing all that knowledge because I had no clue. All right. So Saturday night, first and foremost, the obvious thing, if you were at the game, if you watched the game, you got to be pretty excited about how the Swamp. I personally haven't heard the Swamp that loud. I don't know, a couple years maybe. It was electric in there. It was sort of that Swamp magic of old. It was the fans never really seemed to get out of it, even in the first quarter when it looked not shaky, but it was a little questionable. It was something to behold. I think the Swamp is back. And I think my ears hurt the next day from being on the field. It was so dang loud. So wouldn't you say, I can't remember what game would you guys compare that to as of, the last time you saw or heard the Swamp like that?
Well, I'll go, I didn't get the whole feel of it because I have the earphones or whatever you call them, the headsets on. So it kind of blocks the noise out, but it was still loud. I had to scream in the microphone sometimes, and just the electric atmosphere. Night games are special. With Tennessee being in town, made it even more special. But yeah, I thought the fan base, the crowd was outstanding from the get-go.
I would say 2021 Alabama was that loud, or not quite that loud, I would say, but it was very, very loud. Florida had a chance and should have won that ball game, quite frankly. Missed an extra point that forced them to have to go for two. They could have been going into overtime. I think Florida could have won that game. Didn't. 2019, the Auburn game.
Yeah.
That place went just absolutely bonkers when Freddie Swain catches that touchdown pass from Kyle Trask. And that was Kyle Trask's first start. He had come off the bench to win the Kentucky game the week before. Now, before that, we had some moments like at the end of the Tennessee game in 17 with the heave to Cleve, or the end of the Tennessee game in 2015, the touchdown pass to Callaway, and then the missed field goal. But it wasn't that way the entire game in either one of those. This was an entire game. I'll tell you the game that this really and truly reminded me of from start to finish. And this is a game that Shane, I think, remembers quite well. 1991, Florida plays Florida State at the Swamp.
Yeah.
And this game, Florida wins it 14-9. Florida makes a great stop in the end zone there at the end. Best defensive game, I think, that's ever been played there at the Swamp. But I'll tell you how loud it was. the entire fourth quarter, I've got my hands over my ears, and I still couldn't hear anything, and my ears still hurt. And this game, I think, was really just about that loud, if not louder.
Some people in the chat room are saying that. Blaylock was saying the Auburn game. I heard that quite a bit bantied around after Saturday night. But just the whole fan experience was awesome. There's a lot of little different nuances that I think keeps the younger crowd in it. The DJ, obviously won't back down, is turning into a national sort of, entity all on its own, which is really awesome to see. I was sort of a hater of the LEDs when I first saw them, but boy, that is pretty neat. I think they stopped cutting the lights after a touchdown. But just seeing the orange and blue, and they came out and did Mr. Two Bits does the orange and blue in the second half, with the lights going orange and blue up in the upper decks. I just think that is really a cool thing to see. It's exciting to see the Swamp Bat. I mean, what a huge and sort of to dovetail on that. I mean, how big of a difference do you think, Shane, this was for Joe Milton and for the entire offense for Tennessee? How much of a factor do you feel that really played in the outcome?
Oh, it definitely played a factor. I mean, the first couple of series, they had multiple false starts, had to take a couple of timeouts. I know they prepared for it, but I think it was much louder than they anticipated. So, yeah, I mean, anytime you play a home game in the Southeastern Conference, it's an advantage due to the crowd noise. Even if you don't get a false start from an offensive lineman, they're just a count or a second later getting off the ball, and that allows your pass rushers to have an advantage.
The miscommunications, I think, were numerous. I think there were far more than the false starts and things like that. But you could tell along there that they were having trouble communicating. They like to get a play off every 20 seconds, and they were getting one off maybe every 30, 35 seconds because, you watch Joe Milton and he's having to go all the way up and down the line once and twice, sometimes three times, just to get the play started. And if he sees something and has to change the play, and I think that played heavily into it. They're used to bing, bing, bing like that the ball's placed. They know what they're going to do. They snap it, maybe a couple words, and the ball's snapped and they're off again. And they could not do that in this game. They really, really struggled to get plays off with any kind of warp speed, and that's what they're accustomed to. I think Brenden froze on us.
I think you're right. I thought I froze first.
Just keep talking because I think he'll probably come join us again. I thought the keys to the ball game were being able to get Graham Mertz into a really good rhythm. You said this at halftime. This guy is really good. And I think a lot of people all over the country are having to eat a lot of crow about that because people, he was, one writer had him the number 14 quarterback in the SEC. Most of the preseason mags had Florida's quarterback situation number 13. He's a pretty darn good quarterback.
He's very good, friends. You knew how I felt about him when I saw him this summer. I say it and I stand by it. He's a guy that a Steve Spurrier would go recruit to play quarterback for him. And I think the narrative for quarterbacks now has changed, and I don't know why it's this way, and maybe just because of where high school football is going. It's almost like some media members or people that cover sports, they get enamored with the so-called athlete at quarterback, or the guy who can throw it a long ways, who can run a lot. Mm-hmm. Well, Graham Mertz is a guy that if you put back in the fun and gun would be tearing it up right now. I firmly believe that. Most intelligent football player I've sat in a meeting with in my entire lifetime. I think he's very accurate. He's fundamentally sound. He loves being a Florida Gator. Tremendous team leader, and the team believes in him.
I think you're right on about that, because I asked Trevor Etienne after the game. I asked him about Mertz, and he just glowed about what this guy really brings to the Florida table. And it's one thing to be a leader. Okay, you say, okay, I'm the smartest guy in the room. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. It's another thing to be that leader, and everybody knows how much you love your teammates. Everybody knows how much you love your coaches. Everybody knows how much you love being where you are. I think that really, really and truly comes through with him. And, it's kind of like when you were the quarterback at Florida, everybody knew you loved the place because you had your chances to go earlier before Spurrier arrived. And you got your chance, and that because you got your chance, man, everybody in the world knew you were Gator through and through. And it showed in the way the guys reacted to you.
Yeah, I agree. And, he's only been here a few months, but I watch him a lot during the course of a game from the box. He's shown some emotion when he's made plays or his teammates have made plays, but you can just see him interact with the linemen on the sidelines, the receivers, the back, everybody, the entire football team. And, I think he's got that calm demeanor as well that, Billy trusts him. He's changed the plays at the line of scrimmage quite a bit. He made some outstanding plays the other night. Hopefully, and it's just against Billy's nature, I think, hopefully he'll let this kid start firing it downfield a little bit because we got the guys out there that can do it, and he can do it as well.
I think so. I think right now the whole key is I think that this is an offensive evolution, if that sounds right. That this offense is gradually, we're seeing new things each week that are being added onto, and I think it's a matter of when Billy gets comfortable that they're comfortable with what he's doing, it adds on and adds in there. We're seeing little nuances in the way they're doing things. That little screen pass to Montrell, for example, that went for a touchdown, that I thought was a new play in there. The way Montrell comes there, makes a little chip block, and makes it look like he's really going to hang in there with him. And there's Graham Mertz, who does his part, the little sidearm throw to get it around the defensive lineman. Really a key play right there. But these little things, I think we're seeing one or two new plays every week that makes a difference.
Yeah, for sure. That was a good play. It was a screen, a tailback screen, off counter action. The whole offensive line, the right side pulled left. And as you said, Graham baited the defender in and then kind of changed his arm angle, little sidearm last second as he took a shot, and we get a touchdown pass off of it. But, he made some plays with his legs on the scramble. He pump faked a guy. Big conversion there. He made him and Khalil Jackson had an unbelievable throw and catch for the first one. So, it was a great team win. Defense was outstanding. Special teams, here's why I think it's a mature football. It's a very young team, but it's a mature football team. And I think a lot of that goes back to the leadership skills of the Kingsley Agwakun and Mertz and some of these older guys, is because you have a pretty good drive, and you go down and you miss a chip shot field goal. And then 4 plays later, Tennessee scores. We could have called it a day right there. Here come the old Gators and just giving up. But they had some fight in them and then dominated the first half.
A lot of poise they showed coming back after that. I thought they showed a lot of poise on that opening drive, even though they missed the field goal. That guy got a block on, got a hand on it coming off. He came through the same gap twice. He got the block on the extra point, come through that same gap, same guy, And I thought that you know, I think the move to Trey Smack was a good one, by the way.
Well, I said it after I said on the air. I was like, we got to make a change. Mahalik's missed too many field goals. We played 3 games, missed too many field goals. Nothing against him, but Trey Mack's on scholarship. He needs to be our kicker, and he knocked him through. So I would assume he would be our kicker the rest of the year.
He's got a real leg, because they didn't, the shortest of his kickoffs landed about the end line of the goal line. Some of them went completely over the end line, and wow, I thought he was really good. I think you make some very good points. So about the communication, I think Kingsley made a tremendous difference in the O-line, because we saw really good communication there. And as somebody pointed out here, Billy did take his foot off the gas, and I think he was concerned that the team would come out there and start feeling the big head and trying to do too much when they had a lead. I think if he had to do it over again, he would have let them just put the pedal down and just do a 30-point hosing, which they were certainly capable of doing.
Yeah, I really didn't have much of a problem with his plan of attack in the second half. If we make a couple more first downs, because the new rules in college football with the clock rules, you can really shorten a game. And, what if we drop back and Mertz gets blindsided and they scoop and score? A lot of bad stuff can happen. I understand fans wanted us to continue doing it, but the bottom line is to win the football game. Again. Right. Whatever it takes, win the game. And that's what they did.
Remember that great line that says, when you're up to your ass in alligators, it's tough to remember. The objective is to drain the swamp. Well, Tennessee was up to their ass in alligators. And I think that the idea was to make sure that they never stopped being up to their ass in alligators. I think Florida did a really good job of that. That was a real team win when you factor in everything that happened. I think the entire Florida football team should take credit for that, because even you watch the guys on the sidelines, the interaction as people are coming off, etc. You look at, for example, Jakeem Jackson getting beaten on that long pass. Another freshman, Jordan Castell, is over there grabbing Jakeem Jackson. Don't let your head down. Stuff happens. You got beat. Go to the next play. I thought that was a very mature thing by Jordan Castell, who, by the way, played one whale of a football game. This is a kid that's going to be a star. We're going to have him for 2 more years after this, and I think people better enjoy it, because he's going to get a lot of money in 3 years.
Yeah, let's hope we can keep him for 3 years. You never know with the transfer portal, friends. But Jakeem Jackson actually had really good coverage. I think that was Brew McCoy, and I thought we were going to get past offensive pass interference. He pushed off on that ball.
Yeah,
on that catch, but they didn't call it. But yeah, I thought the defense, Scooby Williams and Shamar James, flew around, and I'm telling you, the difference so far that I see in this defense. Obviously, we had young guys flying around, but our defensive tackles are better than what we've had. I mean, Caleb Banks and Cam Jackson are clearly better than what we've had in the past few years, and they made a big difference against Tennessee.
Gentlemen, sorry about that. I think there was a tree came down in my backyard or something. There was a big thump, and then we didn't have internet. So either that or Buddy has just had enough of me being on the show, and he came swinging from the vine. So I apologize. Thanks for carrying the show there for a second. Go ahead. You're saying about Shaquem?
I think one of the things that I'm seeing out of this team is really good defensive line rotation. Guys, we've got enough size that if you got to take, for example, Cameron Jackson out, okay, who's coming in to replace him? Well, all of a sudden it's Big Dez. Can you imagine, by the way, here's Joe Milton, who's 250 pounds, 6'5", a big man, no question about it. But can you imagine being that big and you get lifted up like you're a sack of potatoes and thrown down on the ground? And here comes 450 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal just falling down upon him like that. I bet you he is feeling it today. I bet he's doing a lot of ice baths after that.
Well, and it's also let's talk about. I think look how far Big Dez has come physically. I think we've seen somebody that has had a pretty good offseason. I mean, he's still big and he looks, strong. I was sitting, in the south end zone when that happened, just probably 30 yards from him. And I was like, man, I don't know if he's going to get up after
that. Devin Moore, I asked him today, did you think about calling a fair catch? That ball just seemed to stay up in the air forever. I've seen punts that didn't go that at the swamp that didn't go nearly that high.
Well, I wanted to say we've kept Shane. Thanks for pinch hitting for me, Shane. I've kept you 10 minutes longer than I said we would have. You can check Shane Mathews on Pot Up with Shane or Pot Up with Mathews. Is that what it's called? Pot Up with Shane?
It's actually called, Pot Up with Mathews in the morning because we go early in the morning. So, yeah.
8 o'clock, right?
8 a.m. to 9, 8 to 9 Eastern Standard Time.
And then it's a Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Isn't that correct?
And all those platforms. I don't know how any of that works. I just turn my computer on. I'll let everybody else do
it. And hey, folks, if you haven't subscribed to it, do subscribe. Shane does a terrific job. He has great guests on, asks great questions and gets great answers. It's one thing to ask great questions. It's another thing to get great answers in return. And you have a knack of getting great answers, Shane. So I would encourage everybody out there.
It's a great show.
Hey, subscribe while you got a chance, Yeah.
Like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shane, thank you very much.
Raise the prices up to where only the rich can
I don't have anything to do with that.
How do you liking your gig on the radio, by the way, this year?
Oh, I love it. I think Sean Kelly does a tremendous job. I mean, he's a pro. And, the thing that, I have to apologize to Sean a couple of times when we go to commercial break because as a color analyst, and like I have no background in this, I didn't go to school for this or anything. And I've talked to many play-by-play people when I started, and they said, look, let the guy call the play. When the play's over, then it's your time to tell the listeners what happened. I can't help it. I see stuff developing before it's over with. And I kind of comment like on ETN's long touchdown run. I said something like, yes, sir, he's gone, as he just barely broke through the line of scrimmage. I'm not supposed to do that, but I can't help it. Sean doesn't have a problem with it, thank goodness.
Well, you're getting lots of love here in the chat, Shane, in your show. So thanks for coming on and being with us on Monday nights. You have a good night. As Buddy says, enjoy your milk and cookies. We will.
Guys, y'all take care. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Shane Mathews, everybody. I guess, Franz, you're going to have to be stuck with me. I don't have Buddy's all his notes and stuff. We are at Meldon Law Monday, by the way. If anybody was wondering, Monday always is a Meldon Law Monday. And he has been a fine sponsor of this program for a minute, him and this whole deal. And so I didn't want to leave Jeffrey out, who, by the way, is a super fun guy to hang out with, which he has a heck of a tailgate, which I stopped by in Salt Lake. And he is super fun to hang out with. And Kerry Meldon, I keep talking about him. I said, you're going to have to come on and do a commercial with me to kind of update it. So when I get these nights when I don't have Buddy on, so we can kind of get a little youth to the show. So with that being said, we'll be right back after this quick commercial break for Meldon Law. And then Franz and I, you look like Shane. Franz and I are going to talk, and he's going to give me a whole bunch of you-know-what for picking Tennessee. Right back after this break.
Back to Swamp Kings, I think I was impressed. I really didn't understand how hard he worked, how hard Urban Meyer worked at getting that team ready to compete in the SEC and on a national stage.
You think maybe Gator fans will value their championship legacy just a little bit more now?
I hope so. I never got it. I didn't understand why people didn't say take Urban at his word when he said he was really sick. I understand that he went back, to Ohio State, but he did take a year off and do his ESPN thing. And it's in your blood when you're a college coach. It's almost like you're willing to sacrifice your life in order to have the ability to lead a team to a national championship.
No doubt. I'm going to issue an invitation to you right now. Urban's coming to Gainesville the week of Vanderbilt. And I'm going to take him out to Spurrier's for bite to eat, and you're invited. How's that sound?
I would love to do that. I actually, his daughters both won the Meldon Law TV 20 Scholar Athlete.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
And so we got to know the family a little then. And, I'll tell you, Urban really should be admired by Gator fans, and they should understand that he was here for 6 years? 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
6 years. Nowadays, that's a long time in a coach's career, right?
Exactly
and they're like, oh, he jilted us. It was like, my girlfriend dumped me,
Oh, Jeffrey Meldon, we talk over those 5 minutes. You never mentioned law one time.
Yeah. So anyhow, we are really excited at Meldon Law. We've been getting a lot of calls from people who already have cases that are asking us for second opinions.
Yeah.
And I think
I want to talk to you about that next time we're on the air.
Got to start off by thinking it is really a unique experience in the Swamp Saturday night relative to our fans. They put on a show, right, for the entire country to see. And they impacted our team, brought a lot of energy to our players, created momentum in the game, and certainly made it very difficult for Tennessee, caused procedure penalties. Ultimately, they were a part of the plan and certainly did their part. So can't compliment them enough. When you get texts from people that have been around here for a long time and they tell you that's the best it's been in 15 years, I think you're probably doing something right. So our fan base was incredible. That's what the University of Florida football can be. We need to do that more consistently, and certainly as a staff and as a team, we can do our part. So proud of the team. Ultimately, I think that was a little bit of a buildup of a 2-week response. Proud of the response, in particular from the players, and certainly the staff provided great leadership. And now you're presented with a new set of problems, right? So I think ultimately just met with a leadership group at 11. I think this is a challenge of principle-centered leadership. And I think ultimately, I think it's important that you don't react, and that you actually have something that you can stand on. And I would say throughout history, we've learned that there's a set of values and principles that are time-tested, and ultimately we try to teach those to the players. And I think they used that, right? These can be a guide. They can help you stay on the right path when you're, experiencing tough things. I do think they can allow you to evaluate where you're at. They can help you recenter and ultimately help direct your decisions, correct the things you need to correct in your life. And I was proud of the players and the approach they took since the Utah game. Now we can use those same things to apply to success, right? So, reality is that you don't accomplish anything significant by staying in your comfort zone. I think we were uncomfortable for 2 weeks. We were frustrated. We were angry. We were embarrassed. That allowed us to have an edge and certainly affected the way we prepared for Tennessee and helped us play the way we played. So I think it's important that we keep that, right? We have discipline, right? And discipline ultimately is making yourself do things that you don't want to do, right? So our consistency is going to be key, okay? So set of issues that come with success. Last year's team couldn't handle it. Momentum. We failed to capitalize several times throughout the season. So I think.
All right. Well, I only can play about 3 minutes before I get in trouble with the university, so I have to cut it off there. But Franz, you were at the press conference today for Billy Napier. What was your take on the whole thing as far as his response and what he talked about? I obviously listened to the entire thing today. He seemed to talk a lot about how like he was referring to the leadership group. He liked the things that he heard. As far as they're not going to let this one, as far as get too excited. I think with the younger player or, these younger teams, it's hard. Sometimes you make a big win and it's sort of hard to keep that going into the following weeks. Billy seemed to think that he's hearing the right stuff in the locker room and his leadership groups. By the way, he does these leadership groups things. Is that by offense or defense, or is that by captains? How does that break down? Do you know?
That part I don't know. I need to get into that, but he has. I know he has leadership groups for each position, and I think probably leadership groups for each class. The freshmen, the sophomores, etc., like that. But here's the thing that I came away with from that, Brenden, is that he knows that they can handle adversity. They've shown that by the way they came back from that loss to Utah, the way they lost it. It would have been one thing if they go lights out and lose the game 24-23 and you miss it just because one of their guys makes a better play than somebody else. Okay, stuff like that happens. But to lose it the way they did could have been one of these things where guys are saying, oh, no, here we go again. Another game we should have won. And there's no question, Florida should have won that ball game. Florida should have won that game 28-7 at the very worst, probably 28-0 if really truth be known on there. But they gave the game away. And it's like I said, it's one thing to lose a game. It's another thing to give a game away that you should win. And that's what happened there. That was a game the Gators should have won. Everybody knows it. No big shock there, no big surprise. But to come back from that, I think it's easier to deal with that than it is to handle success. And this is what is going to be the real question moving forward. Is how do you handle success? We know now that they can handle adversity because the way they came back with the McNeese game, played a great game against McNeese. I forget who it was. It doesn't matter. It was the fact that they came back and they played disciplined. They played inspired football, discipline. They didn't care who they were playing. They were just out there trying to get the bad taste of Utah out of their mouths. And then they come back another week later and they've improved. So they've shown they can handle adversity. Now the question is this. You've got success. You got people thinking, okay, we were wrong about Utah. Let's see how we're going to expect you to just go out there and win a bunch of ball games now. And I think, Brenden, a lot of people think it's kind of like I get accused sometimes by people who don't understand how much work goes into writing a decent story. They think that words just appear on a computer screen. And I think that a lot of people think with a football coach that you just kind of roll the dice and you go out there and you win ball games. They don't realize how much preparation goes into it. You know that. You played the game, but you know it. You've been around it all your life. The NFL, the college game, the high school, the whole bit. You know it from start to finish. You know how much goes into a win. And it isn't easy.
Well, I agree. And, first of all, I'm eating my crow today happily. As a Gator fan, I think I'm sort of still learning to sort of navigate, trying to be in the middle. I'm always such a homer, but, I am, fully a Billy believer because of the fact that I have been around and I have learned that it's to come from come from Salt Lake and Utah to playing Tennessee the way that they did, I think is a really long way to come. That was the most impressive thing to me, is that, there were a lot of changes that were made, not just with personnel and scheme and things like that, but in coaching. And I think Billy went to work on a lot of that. Like, how do we do our communication? Let's get this fixed. Let's get that fixed. And I think we're seeing more of a cohesive coaching staff. And I think that is evident of such a signature win for this team, for and for Billy, for the last since he's been here. What, 15 games you said, Franz?
He's been there 16. He's 8-8 now as a head coach at Florida.
Well, so quite a I wasn't ever a Billy hater, and I'm not trying to like jump on a bandwagon, but I think now, and especially really seeing a real game from the sidelines, it's different for me because that's where I usually go, and I like to see the energy and feel it. I get real close to a lot of these guys out there and see how they react and how they talk to everybody, and seeing Billy out there. He's not overtly, throwing visors like a la Spurrier or screaming and yelling. He has this cool, calm collectiveness to him, which I think passes that down the line to his players when people start to get a little freaked out. Now, that being said, let's talk about the end of the game, because the end of the game, from my perspective, was bizarro, because I couldn't see the fight break out as it happened at the opposite end of the field of where I was. And so I make my way around the back of the sidelines there, and then, the clock expires. We all go running out onto the field. I'm running out into the field, and I see Graham Mertz getting interviewed. All this, by the way, is on a clip that we have on this YouTube channel. If you want to check it out, that's from my camera. And then I turn around, and I see Heupel and Billy running out to the middle of the field. And they're like, usually, when I hung out with Tim Casey, you run out in the field, you're trying to get that picture of them saying, oh, good luck, good game, whatever. But there was no one around. I thought, this is weird. And I turned around, and I'm the only one standing there, and I'm like 2 feet from these guys. And I hear them like talking, and I hear them say something like, okay, yeah, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. They say, and then they say, we'll see. And I thought they said, okay, I thought Heupel said, we're just going to take a knee and let's get out of here. It's like they had a conversation, and then they break, and I turn around, and then I hear Billy is screaming 2 feet behind me, get off the field, get off the field, get off the field. Come on, defense, defense, defense. And it was a complete pandemonium, because you have all the boosters out there, all these players out there, people with their helmets off. From that perspective, it's hard to deduce what was sort of going on, and then everyone clears off. And then, I thought, well, and exactly what happens. Tennessee comes back out there and they take a knee. I don't know if that was classy, considering what I've watched the game again and seeing that there was the whole timeout thing going on. But since all of that, today, the SEC has levied their suspensions, right? 3 players, Micah, and who was the other guy that's out for a full game, right?
Damian George is out.
George, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Deontay Xanders, right?
Yeah, Dante Xanders as well. Yeah, the SEC really didn't have a choice. They had to do it. But, the good news, that's the bad news.
Is it a full game suspension, or what is it?
Half games.
Half games. Okay, well, then no big deal.
And that's the bad news. The good news is you're playing Charlotte this week.
Right.
And you're going to be able to play some guys that need the work. Granted, it means that Jonathan Odom, Hayden Hansen, Arliss Boardingham are all going to play a lot more at tight end, for example. Damian George is out, okay? That means that Lindell Hudson gets a full game in at right tackle. Najee Harris, the freshman, probably going to get his first start there at right guard. So it's not, the bad news is they got suspended for half. The good news is some of these young guys are going to get to start in a game that the Gators are going to win, no matter who. They'd win with you and me on that offensive line against Charlotte, I think. But although I got to admit, I'm a little bit long in the tooth and maybe just a teensy bit past my prime. Okay, not like you.
Stop.
Yeah,
you're still
well,
sexy, Franz. I don't care what anyone. I don't care what Buddy says.
I got a good-looking girlfriend. That's all I know.
Okay, you do have a good-looking girlfriend, that's for sure.
Anyway,
well, but hearing Billy talk about it today, the interesting twist that he put on it, he said, "Yeah, we have." He said, "Well, look, it's like going down to the local bar, having to keep your stuff together at the bar, not taking the bait from somebody." How he talked to his players is like, look, you have to see, how you're really affecting your team. He said it was a learning lesson, right? But at the same time, the way it sort of went down, you got to be sort of proud of your guys for standing up. That's the unwritten rule, right? That's the thing that you don't say, but you're like, you want everyone to have everyone's back. You learn that in when you're 10 years old, someone takes a shot at your guy, you're going to take a shot at your guy. Someone throws a pitch at your guy, you're going to throw a pitch at their guy. I mean, that's the thing that you do in sports. But the interesting part that I found is that Billy said, not that we had to, discipline our players a little bit more, but some coaches as well. That's right at the end of the press conference. That was his last comment.
Yeah, he's got some people on his staff that kind of rushed on down there and probably shouldn't have. I know that one guy got shoved, and the staff has to get down there, and you gotta be smart enough to just form a human barrier between your guys and their guys. It's not an easy thing to do, and given the size of some of these guys, you got to be a brave little buckaroo to do that.
Yeah.
But that's your job. Okay. And I think he was disappointed that they went after, that so many guys left the bench area, and it could have been worse. That what the SEC did could have been worse.
I really thought it was going to be worse. Because when you watch it again, and I've seen a couple of angles of it, it's like, woo.
Now, the next time I would say that something like that happens, don't be surprised if the SEC says, okay, write us a check for $100,000, just like they do people storming the field. Hey, write us a check for $100,000 right now. And people can say, well, it's just $100,000. Look at all this money that's coming in from the networks and everything. $100,000 is $100,000 any way you swing it. I think that he was happy that they defended Graham Mertz. I think he was disappointed that so many people left the bench area. I think it's one thing to have the guys on the field jump to the rescue. It's another thing that when guys leave the bench, and that part has got to be the disappointing thing that you have there is that they did it. But all in all,
I mean, it was like that close to being
a real
out brawl.
Yeah, it was.
And the energy was palpable. I mean, you got to say Billy did have command over his players. I think a lot of them were like reacted, but they held. I think they showed some restraint considering what had happened. Right, a big win. It's a rivalry game. Everyone's pissed. You want to win the game in style and fashion. And here's the end. And clearing everybody off at the end just to get them to take a knee was quite the feat to begin with, because we had Graham's about to do his big interview on that network TV. I mean, the cameras are out there. Everyone's ready to go. So it was a feat to get everybody off and sort of finish it. I think it did take a little gas out of the wind, or in the end. But I really felt like it was still they did a good job with the alma mater. I saw Austin Armstrong really celebrating in the alma mater. He was very excited and I think he played a pretty great game. If you go back and look at it, I felt like he sort of came into his own. He had a right to celebrate.
Austin Armstrong is I got to tell you what, the guy's an absolute trip. You watch him on the sidelines and stuff like this, and you see why guys say, I mean, even today, Devin Moore saying, Yeah, the guy's like my best friend. I mean, this is a guy
He's a bro. He's a bro.
Yeah,
he's a
really
bro.
Gets it. He really gets
Yeah.
that part about the relationship between coaches and players. I like it. It's people talk about Nick Saban as being this stern, tough guy and everything. Everything I've heard about Nick Saban is a great guy when it comes to relationships with his players. And I think the winning coaches are like that. They have that great relationship.
Right.
And I think that this bodes well for the future here. And let's hope we can keep it for 2 or 3 years, because I guarantee you somebody's going to see what he does here and look at his age and say, let's get this guy and wrap him up for 10 years. And in 10 years, he'll be 42 years old, let's say, and he'll still be a young head coach with 10 years experience.
Yeah.
And he's a guy, this is a rising star. He really is. I didn't know what to expect when he first came here, but the more I looked into what he did at Southern Miss, about how they were one of the top teams in the country in sacks and tackles for loss, and they get after the quarterback. They had a lot of turnovers, etc. The more I saw that, the more I thought, boy, this guy's got some real possibilities here. And the more I'm watching him, the more I think the Gators really are going to have a great defense as long as this guy's around.
Speaking of that, can we talk a little bit of the offensive line play? I really saw a different perspective on the playing field on Saturday. Just when the little things for offensive linemen, seeing guard tackle pull into this thing, really opening up massive holes for ETN to run. For a couple of the touchdowns, dive right, dive left. What we're talking like, smash mouth 101. I'm going to beat you off the ball. And I think, that is something I've been saying Billy really wants to establish and definitely establish. Seeing ETN run, there's a picture by Chris Spears that we had. I try to download it, but it literally, you could have driven a truck through that hole that ETN did for the touchdown. He really there was almost nobody in the frame, right or left. He took off gallivanting. The picture is, his feet are off the ground. He's running so fast because he's got no one around him. Talk about the offensive line play, Franz.
Well, taking nothing away from Jake Slaughter, who I thought rebounded greatly from that Utah game. Utah game, he was deer in the headlights. He's a talented enough kid, and he's going to be a really good football player here. But let's face it, he's deer in the headlights. He's on the road. He's playing his first game as a starter with the Gators and everything. And he had a bad day at the office. Much better last week. But that being said, Kingsley comes in there, and all of a sudden there is a calm across the line. And why? Because the guy's like a PhD in offensive line play. I don't think he's strong enough physically that he can handle most nose tackles by himself. Marquise Pouncey could do that. But Marquise Pouncey was an absolute beast, And I don't think Kingsley's a beast, but I think he is a real brain. This is a guy that gets there, sees what's out there, and boom, just like that, he knows what to do. And you watch him pointing to guys and saying, okay, you got this guy, you got this guy.
He's the quarterback of the offensive line. He runs, everyone wields off of that guy, whether and you know that when you play. Your center, that's Big Daddy. He runs the deal. Look at this picture, Franz. I think you've seen it. This is what I was talking about. Just nobody around. That's wide open. You see guys who's finishing his block to the left. Just awesome to see the difference again. Okay, we talk about the stark difference between what we were seeing, and I think, like you're saying, I think that they're gelling together, but you got to have your guy. You got to have your center to come in, and I think that was definitely downplayed. And you made that point earlier in the week.
Well, one thing I think guys need to do when you're watching a game on TV, take a moment, watch what the center does. We spend all our time, we watch the quarterbacks and everything like this. I don't think a lot of guys who are watching games, whether it's on TV or they're live, ever pay attention to what that center's doing. And you watch Kingsley. Kingsley's got a hand on the ball. He's looking. All of a sudden you see boom, 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 boom. And he's telling you, you got this guy, whatever like that. And by golly, that's who they go get. This is a guy that reads, we talk about quarterbacks having to audible. How about those offensive linemen? That center has to audible because they may be coming in there with a certain protection package, and all of a sudden he sees run blitz coming, and he knows it's a run play, and all of a sudden you got to say, whoa, okay, boom, boom. We got to switch up real quick. He's very, everybody who saw him at SEC Media Days came away impressed, and they said, this guy is, no matter what he decides to do, he's going to be good at it because he's that smart. And this is what you got to have in there. You got Graham Mertz, who Shane even says is the smartest quarterback he's ever dealt with. Then you get a guy like Kingsley at center, and your two most important positions on the offensive side of the ball, you got the two smartest guys.
Yeah.
Pays off big time. Hey, we got to point out to Cam Hartung, by the way, $4.99 in the super chat. I just want to be on the field after a W and celebrate. Was really happy with how we played, but we need to keep momentum moving forward. Go Gators. By the way, if you want to get yours read and have Franz talk to it, that's where we got the super chat feature. Pays a couple bucks, buys us a couple of beers. I'm drinking a beer tonight. Thanks, Cam. Franz, what do you think about that? I like it. Goodness, say, look, keep these questions coming in, etc., like that. Yeah. And Cam Hartung, I got to tell you, I think a lot of people would love to storm the field here, but
they weren't having it. I'll tell you, I haven't seen the security that thick in a minute.
Well, but here's the other thing. There's a great line that Lou Holtz had. We heard Urban use it too, which was, when you get to the end zone, act like you've been there.
Yeah.
Don't go up there and make a spectacle of yourself. It's a team game. I like it when the guy scores the touchdown, and all of a sudden you've got there is the offensive lineman who made the key block, picking that running back up, and lifting him up, and all the other offensive linemen come around and get the guy. And it becomes about what a bunch of guys accomplish together. Instead of that big touchdown dance, hey, look at me, look what I did, etc., like that. And I think that to the respect of storming the field, act like we've been there. Great. Celebrate when you go out the stadium, scream it's great to be a Florida Gator, or
don't tear up the field too. That's the other thing. It costs the university money and everything else, but I get the want to, right? You want to get out there. You want to be, I think he was sort of talking about, I want to be out there and feel that vibe and energy.
Oh yeah. Well,
certainly it is exciting, especially after a big win like that. Hey, Franz, I wanted to show you this other picture. This is the one that we were running. You were talking about this earlier. What do you think about this guy right here? Look at that. Picture's brought to you by Chris Spears, by the way.
It almost looks like
look at his face.
It's like, I don't know if you ever remember, there was a Saturday Night Live skit with Richard Pryor.
Yeah, Richard Pryor
parodying The Exorcist, and all of a sudden the bed is on my foot. It's one of the funniest things. And can you imagine Joe Milton screaming to his teammates, "The big man is
on my foot"?
Get him off. You think about that. 200 pounds of disparity between the two of them. Holy cow. I mean, My goodness.
Coming at you. I put another picture up there because I was just kind of rolling through these photos. But yeah, I was trying to show the other hit. Oh, this is just more good defensive play.
Look
wrapping
at
up.
Cam Jackson. Look at Cam Jackson. That running back looks like a little boy being about to be thrown down by his dad.
I know.
I mean, and the running back's 202 pounds, but look how big Cam Jackson is. By the way, if you also have seen that picture of Big Dez making the hit on.
No, I'm looking for that one. I think I have it.
There is an offensive lineman for Tennessee with his arms wrapped around. There should have been. Look at this. There should be a holding call right there.
Yeah.
No holding call. Look at there. Both two arms around him. You can see them, but see two arms around him. Was there a holding call? Of course not. I thought if the officials had wanted to, I think the officials could have called another 8 or 10 holding calls on Tennessee. They really had that opportunity to.
Yeah,
and
he's just got him by the belly right there.
Yeah. And if you watch the replay, watch Ricky Pearsall run. And I promise you, Ricky Pearsall, there are more holds on Ricky Pearsall than any wide receiver in the SEC right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that's the deal that we're seeing with him is everybody's keying off of him as being the Cam Hartung, by the way, another $4.99. Thank you, Cam. Oh no, I won't storm the field. I want to do it the right way. Pass with a pass. LOL. I stood next to Dez and I was 345, 6 foot at the time, and he's a monster. Well, he is a monster.
When Desmond Watson and Cam Jackson come walking out of the football facility, out of the Hebner together, they cause a total eclipse of the sun.
They do.
Guaranteed. I mean, they two enormous human beings. It's funny, Brenden, because in the preseason, before the first game was ever played, I asked Cam Jackson that. I said, "You are a large human being. How do you feel next to Dez?" He said, "Small."
and Dez, like we said before, Dez has come such a long way. Really, it's just come such a long way. Physically, it was sort of Napier's project at the beginning last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, and the thing about it is he affects games even if he doesn't make tackles, because you're going to have to use two people on him every time. You remember at the 2006 national championship game, we had a guy named Stephen Harris playing on the nose of the Ohio State center. And he was so effective. And this is a guy that was the first team All-American center. He couldn't handle Stephen Harris. Next thing you know, they got a guard on him too. Next thing you know, they're having to keep the fullback in to handle it. And they had to pick their poison. Okay, do you take the extra guy, you put him on the nose tackle, or do you save that guy for the edge where you got Harvey and Moss out there? And this is what Big Dez is able to do. This is what Cam Jackson is able to do too. You got to take a guy and put him on there, either another offensive lineman, or you got to pull your back and have your back go in protection. So you've just thought if it's a back, you've lost a receiver because he's got to help out on blocking, or you've also lost your chip guy for the guy coming off the edge. It's an amazing thing what happens when you got a nose tackle that can really affect play.
Yeah, it really does. And by the way, when you play like that and you play in a place like the Swamp, things like this happen about a day later. Waltez Clark committed yesterday evening, running back 4-star for 2005. Reported that in GatorBait yesterday. Franz, we're probably going to see a lot more of that, because why wouldn't you want to come play in the Swamp?
Well, this is what those crowds do for you. This is why kids during the Spurrier era, they wanted to come here, because the place got so exciting and so loud. The same thing happened when Urban was here. It's a chain reaction. that excitement. You know, it's kind of like you throw a rock into the water and you watch the ripples just keep going out and out and out and out.
Well, that's what's fun about college football too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That's the difference, is because you see, I don't care about NAL, everything else. You know, what you want to go play for winners, and these guys talk now with social media. You know, DJ Lagway is out there, the best recruiter that Florida's had for 2 years now. He was in the swamp. He'll be there again this week. You know, sort of representing of people who ever said that he was sort of a question mark. I don't think that's really the case.
Yeah. I guarantee you right now, he's a high school kid, but right now he go up and play quarterback in Alabama.
And you know, and a lot of people think he's going to come in and start. I tell you what, we haven't talked much about it, and we're getting to the end of the show. But Graham Mertz, I mean, he played awesome.
Yes, he did.
He's so poised, and Billy was right about that again. I mean, just he's got control of his offense. And I'm excited to see what he could. What I see somebody today say, you know, Mertz for Heisman. He's got the numbers, right?
He's hitting 75.3% of his passes. He's averaging 8 yards per attempt. Anything over 7.5 yards an attempt is really, really good. He's averaging 8. You look at the number of Florida quarterbacks who have not averaged 8. Pretty amazing, actually.
I love this picture right here.
Look right here. He comes down a little bit further and he does the pump fake.
Yeah,
and that pump fake was awesome. I'm pretty sure that's the same play.
It is the same play. And I want look at the 3 defenders' faces that you can see, right? Look at their faces. Look at their legs. They're frozen, right?
Yeah.
Since Utah, he does a great job at selling the play action and selling the screen. He really, really works on those little things, and I think people aren't. That's really what makes an amazing quarterback. I think he's even getting better at looking off his receivers a little bit. I think during Utah, he kind of had a tendency to stare right at the guys, but he works at this. Yeah. And look at that's evident, right? That's the end of a game. You know, that's right there. You don't know if you're going to run, pass, throw, or what. And let's be honest, he had some legs in the game where he got away. He was able to get that big first down.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, while I'm about it, shout out to Chris Spears and to you. We got great video. We got great stills of this ball game. And
I'm gonna have some video for tomorrow night's show.
Yeah, we had some really good stuff. So
yeah. And anyway, by the way, Chris just texted me and said he's got 96 more he just uploaded into our site, friends, for us to use. And if you're thinking about joining GatorBait, you need to, because you get to read this guy right here, over there, that guy. You get to read that guy right there, Franz Beard, almost every day. He writes the thoughts of the day in the morning. It's usually come about between 6 and 8 o'clock in the morning. He works all night. It is an awesome read where you get not only what's happening in the football program, if there's any little tidbits that's going on with, Florida Gator sports, he's got it in there. He's got the schedules in there. He's got times for games from women's softball, all the stuff. It's just an excellent notes column. A lot of times people just want to, you read that and you've got your snapshot of what's going on for the day. It's like the best newsletter you can do. And right now you can still join GatorBait for a discount, because I'm not going to pull it now, right? Because the code winning that will get you in. You can click actually on this link. It'll show up in the chat right now. You go all access annual right now. A lot of people have been taking advantage of it. $79.20. You get GatorBaitMedia.com for an entire year. Just go and you check all access annual and do code winning in the discount section, and you get yourself a nice deal. And we added this, and because with your subscription, you also get a free mobile app that goes with it. And on that free old mobile app are galleries that we're doing now. All the galleries of the games and what that we're putting on there that you get access to. We usually upload it about Tuesday or somewhere in there of most games that we're at. Chris is we've got the last 2 weeks on there. Last 2 weeks are on there. Well, no, he's done. Yeah. Last 2 weeks are on. They're going to put this one on there and all the different photos, so you get to check out a different perspective. Chris does a fantastic job. We also have access to some videos and some cool stuff. And we've got our own message boards where we're trying to promote. We've got all great writers like Buddy Martin, obviously, and Kyle Curtis and Matt Corderaro, and then can't forget Lauren Meadows, coach, who does a great pregame breakdown and a postgame breakdown of the X's and O's. Really good stuff. Check out GatorbaitMedia.com. You get a lot for your money, and you get this guy. And sometimes you have to deal with me. I just try to, keep the circus in order.
Yeah.
Francis, do you have anything else you want to say? I've kept you way too long. You probably have to write, and now you're going to go to work. So I want.
I got one other thing to say.
Yeah, give it to me. Go ahead.
And that is, don't, just like Billy Napier preached today about what he's telling his team. Don't think that we're on third base and you just hit a triple. What he want, take it for what it was. This was the next step in the building process. It's an important step, but it is just a step in the process. There are more steps to go. Be patient, be supportive, get your butt in the swamp, scream, barf up along because you scream so much, but give this guy a chance, because if you do, you're going to be absolutely amazed at what happens with Florida football. This is a guy that's here to build for the long haul. This is not a job he's saying that, okay, I'll be here for 3 years and then I'm moving to the next one. This is a guy that's here for the long haul, and he wants to be here the long haul. So give him a chance and he'll make it worth your while.
Yeah, he certainly will. I will never doubt him again. I'm a big believer after Saturday. And Franz, you took it easy on me tonight after picking Tennessee. I thought you were going to.
Did you do that? Did you actually pick the balls?
Yes, I did. I did.
Okay.
I was going to get a bowl that said Crow, and actually, when I woke up in the morning, I had 10 crows in my yard. Like eating, I said, well, this is about. I took a picture. I was going to upload it, but we had a little bit of a crazy day. Mr. Beard, thank you so much for stepping in tonight and joining us on Meldon Law Monday. Always appreciate it. Always love working with you. You and I have been good friends and colleagues for over a decade, and it's always been enjoyable. Right down to the Tennessee road trip that we took.
We'll have to tell people about that.
I gotta dig that up. It's got to be somewhere, right? It's got to be.
This was the road trip from Deliverance.
He's Franz Beard. Good night, Franz.
Good
Thank
night.
you, sir. And that'll do it for us here at the Buddy Martin Show. Thank you, everybody, for dealing with me. It was sort of a last-minute sort of fill-in situation. Buddy's not feeling great. He hopefully will be with us tomorrow. He's got all his insights, information that we all love. Here, I people said Buddy didn't pick the Gators, or he had some crow to eat. Look, I'm Brenden Martin. He's Buddy Martin. He definitely picked the Gators to win. I'm the only idiot that did not. So give it to me. We want to thank our sponsors, Meldon Law. You won't back down. And we definitely want to thank these guys, Renstar Medical Research, established in 1998. I believe in around 25 years here in Ocala. They do all sorts of I always get it wrong, but they do all sorts of testing for Alzheimer's and all sorts of different diseases and stuff. I'm sorry I don't have the copy in front of me. It's at Buddy's house, but they're really a huge part of doing medical research here in Ocala and in Central Florida, and been a huge sponsor of ours for a long, long time. If you want to be a part of any sort of medical research projects, or you think that that's something that you want to check out, go ahead and find them on Renstar, RenstarMedicalResearch.com or Renstar.com. You can Google them, you check them out. Just an awesome group. We love them dearly, and I'm going to get a copy of that so I can get that right. So sorry, guys at Renstar. Thank you so much for sponsoring the Buddy Martin Show. I am Brenden Martin, and I appreciate you all slugging it out with me. Thank you to Shane Mathews from Pot Up with Shane. You catch him on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. So you get yourself some Shane. He's always got fantastic guests. A lot of our guys goes over there. Thanks to Chris Spears, who's just checking in, and his photography. He does an amazing job for us. If you're looking to buy a car here in Ocala or anywhere here in Central Florida, Prestige Auto. That's Chris's business. He has got one fantastic business down there. You can get a great car, get a great deal. They do all sorts of financing. They work with everybody. They really, really care about their community and the people around them. Go down and check out Prestige Auto. They are more than just a car dealer. They're a cornerstone in our community here in Ocala. Chris does endless work for people and never ever gets any accolades, including working with us here at GatorBait, and just does a phenomenal job. Thank you to Chris Spears and all of that good stuff. And of course, thank you to you all. Cheers. Dilly dilly. I'm going to start featuring a beer. I need a beer sponsor. This is I'm having some wheat beer tonight. Thanks to Cam Hartung. $10, buddy. Appreciate it. That stuff makes a huge difference for us, because I got to tell you, we are not rich, and we're doing this because we love to do this. And don't forget to subscribe to GatorBait. That makes a difference. If you are also at GatorBaitMedia.com, we have a new page called The Buddy Martin Show. You click on it. All the old shows are on there. The live box is on there. You can engage that way as well. It's really important. So, and if not, make sure you subscribe here on YouTube. Makes a difference. Obviously, thank you, Perry Mason. We will wish Mr. Buddy Martin well. He should be back with us tomorrow, but we're gonna take it slow. He wasn't feeling great tonight. He wanted me to say he misses y'all and he cares about you, and thanks for coming out. That'll do it for me. I gladly eat my crow tonight, and I appreciate everybody sort of taking it easy on me, although I probably wouldn't have taken that much easy on myself. Tomorrow night we of course have another great show here at 9 p.m. and we hope that you all will join us then. Thanks for slugging it out with us tonight. Have a great night, everybody. Be safe, and as always, go Gators.